Hey, good morning. Welcome back to another adventure of GT Alaskan Adventures. So today's video is going to be about, got a little noise going on with my blower. Not the blower itself, but there's a bracket there that you put on that carries your drive shaft from your PTO that goes up to your other short drive shaft on your blower. And it's got two bearings in that carrier. And I got underneath the other day to do some grease and kind of look things over, and it looks like those bearings are starting to get a little slop in them. So I'm thinking that's where my noise is coming from. And so anyways, I went to the dealer yesterday, purchased the two bearings that go in there. And so we're going to get underneath the tractor today and take the blower off, whatnot, to get working on taking the old bearings out and putting new ones in. So I'll get the camera here and go underneath and kind of show you what I'm talking about. And then I'll be taking the blower off. So we'll come back and show you the parts and pieces. Okay, so we're going to take you under the tractor here and try to show you this drive shaft. There's your drive shaft that hooks up to your PTO. And it comes forward here. And right down in here, you can see on the other side of the left side of that U-joint there, that's where it enters into that bracket. And I'll show you the bracket later on once it's off the tractor. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a bearing there in the back. And then right here on the front, where you see them bolts, there's a bolt up top. There's three bolts that hold them on, or hold the bearing in place. Those are the two bearings I'm going to be replacing. And I'll show you this right quick. These are the bearings. They're John Deere. They're JD1025R. So I took pictures of the bearings, the numbers on the bearings, and made sure that they matched when I went to the dealer yesterday. But anyhow, so yeah, I got a little work ahead of me getting this blower off here, and then once we get it off and get the bracket off there, I'll come back and show you taking them out and putting the new ones in. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you all know this, but just in case first time ever doing this, might be helpful. But that drive shaft has a little slip collar on the very back there, and you have to pull the ring back and then push the drive shaft towards the front of the tractor. And then once you get that loose, then you just basically pull that octagon shaped shaft, for lack of the right name, out of those bearings. There's two of them. There's one there, and then there's one on the very front. It just slides out of there. When you go to put it back in, you got to make sure that the bearings are oriented right so that it slides into the octagon hole there. But so one thing on this as well is you have this this plug right here, which that plug, here's a yeah, right here it is. There's the other half of it. So those two have to be unplugged, and that's your sensor for. Got a little sensor on the reads off that shaft, I guess, and allows it to go in reverse and not have to kill your PTO every time. If it's not hooked up, then every time you go in reverse, your PTO will shut off, and you'll have to restart the PTO to blow snow going forward again. So anyways, we'll get more into that a little bit later here. But so basically, once you got that shaft out of there, there's a pin here, bar. There's another ring on the other end. You just pull that bar all the way out of there. And it's not supposed to happen like that, but anyways, you got these two ears, one on each side, and those go up into these little slots. There's a slot on the other side there, if you can see it. So both pins slide back into that slot, and then the bar goes through this hole right here and locks the whole thing in place. So anyways, we'll get to workbench here. Okay, so that plug-in right there, the wire goes around, goes down to this deal right here. See my finger touching it? That's your little sensor that reads off your drive shaft that's spinning there, PTO shaft. So one thing I noticed, and I've only ever seen one video on this, so that's kind of why I'm making it. One thing I noticed is that has a bracket that holds all that on there. And if you see on the left side of that nut, that bracket looks like it's slotted. So I would imagine that the distance on that little sensor from your shaft is probably important. And so I'm going to take a little paint pencil and I'm going to kind of scribe around that nut, and just for reference, so when I take that bracket off and take that bearing out of there, I'm going to put it all back together, I put it back in the same position. So for right now, that's about the best way. Maybe I can just take and scribe a line on the end of that bracket. That's probably going to be a better reference. I'll put a paint line there. So anyways, thought that was worth mentioning. Okay, we got a couple lines on there. Just going to let that dry. Okay, so for wrench size, it's a 5/8 inch nut that you're taking off there. So kind of went through and loosened them already, and they're nylock nuts, so they were on there pretty tight. I was kind of surprised how tight they were on there. One thing I kind of noted that all the bolts are carriage bolts, so the other end has the square end on it so that it doesn't spin on you, but they're all oriented to the center of the bracket, so make sure you put them back in that direction. Hopefully my paint line is going to stay where I need it. Probably didn't allow it to dry long enough. So that bracket that holds that sensor, it's loose now. So this snow blower and this whole setup, the brackets, the bearings, the shaft, everything. I bought this tractor last winter, and everything was new. The guy bought the blower and everything for the tractor, but he never used it, I guess, so it had never been run. But so if you're wondering kind of hours wise, my tractor had about 200 some hours on it when I purchased it, and then right now I'm sitting at about 456 hours, I think it is. So I don't really know if that's kind of common for longevity of these things or what, but as To me, it seems kind of short time period, but I don't know. That's a fair amount of hours for blowing snow, and the road I blow is, pretty flat and level, but I do blow a lot of stuff around my yard, and it's not super hilly, but I mean it's definitely not 100% flat. So most of the time I hear the noise is when the blower is significantly not level. Like the blower is down quite a bit from being level, and that's when I really kind of hear the noise. So I don't know if you care to leave a comment, have some prior experience, and maybe blowing that uneven stuff is just hard on these bearings, but I don't really see me stopping doing it because it's just areas that I need to get cleared, and I'm probably going to continue doing it. But maybe I'm going to continue replacing bearings as well. I don't know. They aren't super bad, not super cheap. They were about 28 bucks a piece at my Alaska John Deere dealer. And I did take a peek on eBay, and kind of availability is not really there, but price wise it looked pretty much the same. So maybe I'll find a cheaper place to get them, but definitely don't want to put inferior quality bearings in, because I gotta believe these take quite a beating. So anyways, we got them out. I'm gonna take some time and clean them up, but these, if you can see, these have to be separated. These two plates, and the bearing is just kind of held in place, pinched in there, I guess, if you will. Or so anyways, I'm gonna wipe some grease off and I'll come back. Okay, so I already did it off camera, but these are kind of stuck together. So I just kind of took a wrench and give it a tap or two, and it come right apart. But I wanted to show you if you can see it or not. Maybe you can actually even hear it. That has some play to it for sure. And I won't grab the other one and show you, but the other one is the same way. So separate these two halves. That bearing would come out of there, and you probably can hear that and see that as well. So don't really know what to say about it. Maybe the bearings in the bracket set out in the weather before I purchased it and got water in there or something, and maybe that caused it prematurely to wear. I really don't know. The tractor itself, when I bought it, was super clean, like it never sat outside in a day in its life, which I'm not saying anything that's bad about that, or not saying anything about that at all, other than the fact that I will tell you that mine gets babied, it stays in the garage. It's when it's not being used, it's in the garage. Anyways, we clean these up real good, and then get the bearings put back, the new bearings put back in there, and get to putting it back together. So, thought this might be worth giving a listen to. Definitely doesn't sound too good. Okay, just got them all cleaned up nice. I'm going to go ahead and open these bearings up. And earlier in the video I talked about taking pictures prior to going into the John Deere and make sure I got the right bearing. But anyways, on the bearing itself, it'll have AL206, and these ones here have AL206 as well. Numbers match up. I keep my hands clean so I don't get these dirty. These are nice and tight, as they should be. No wobble. So the other feller that did a video on this that I very much appreciated, and it's nice to watch prior to getting into doing this all by myself. I think it was his channel's name is Garage Guru. Probably saying that wrong, but not sure if I'm going to do it. But one of the things that he did, and it kind of made sense to me, and it kind of didn't really understand it, but he put his in here, and then he just kind of snugged the bolts down. He didn't really go crazy at tightening them down, and I will say they were extremely tight, which I imagine you want them to be. But what I was getting at is what he did on his videos. He just put them in there kind of snug, not reefed on them or nothing. And then he took this bracket over to his tractor, and he installed the bracket on the tractor, and then he took the drive shaft there, PTO shaft, and he slipped it through, basically like installed the shaft through your new bearings. And then he didn't show it on camera, but he went off camera and he said basically he wanted to kind of let the shaft locate the bearings as far as where they needed to be before he tightened them up. I kind of get it, I guess, maybe because these will kind of rock around here a little bit. So maybe if you just went to town and tightened them right up tight, that you would possibly locate them a little bit off true, I guess is what I'm kind of thinking. So at that point, they're locked in place. Your shaft is, you start going to town blowing. From installation time until failure time, they're not going to be running 100% true. And so I kind of think that's where he was going with that. But like I say, he didn't show it on video, and he said something about holding the shaft up and trying to tighten it. I don't know. I'm going to give it a whirl, and I'll try to do it on camera for you. But I don't really know as if he can hold all that stuff and really feel what you're supposed to feel. Shaft is super solid, so I would think that just possibly by inserting it in there, that it would just locate them in the right spot. I don't know. So first time ever done it. So, and worst case scenario, I guess if these wear out prematurely, well, I know where to buy more, so I'll be going to get more. So one thing I would definitely say, if you do have a noise, is how I kind of found out about it is I just kind of went down there and I grabbed the hold of my shaft that sticks through here and just tried to give it a little jiggle to see if I had any movement or play, and I definitely had play. And you can see the bearings moving a little bit, so that's what stemmed me to want to get them out of there and get new in there before, because if they were to fail, you would probably destroy these, and then I'm sure you can buy new ones, but you might also in turn destroy the shaft. And at $28 for the bearing, I can only imagine how much that shaft costs. It's probably not something you want to buy every day, that's for sure. So it's by no means difficult. Just you're gonna get your hands a little dirty. Other than that, pretty much anyone that can turn a wrench should be able to do her. Of course, I ain't got it done yet, do I? So I'm just kind of running these in until they basically bottom out on that bracket. And I think I'm going to stop at that point. One thing he did in his video is he grabbed that bearing and tried to move it around in there, and boy, maybe I'm too tight already because it's not moving at all. back them down a little bit, see if that helps. Nope. Holy Christmas. But just looking at it right now, it doesn't look like it's in there straight. So maybe that's what he was talking about. There we go. If you can see that on camera or not, but she is definitely loose now. So I'm going to leave it right there and then get that shaft in there and see how that bearing looks. You can kind of tell how it fits up to the face of these. So I'm thinking that you would definitely want that distance to look equal all the way around. So, but we're going to leave it like that. So this one has that bracket, if you remember, that I put some paint on. It's going to have to get located properly, and you can see already that's not going to work out too well. The paint's not dry. Ah well, we'll get her. Okay, so this one thing I had to go back and look at the video footage, but your brackets, now I'm questioning myself, but your brackets that carry them bearings, I'm gonna have to look at the footage again, but I'm positive they were both on this side. So, but I'm definitely gonna pause now and make sure that's right, because I don't want to put them on the wrong side. Okay, I was right. They do go on the outside. One thing nice about video and stuff is you can always kind of go back and see if you did it, or see how exactly it came apart. I will say too, on these, this let's see, this would be the bearing. This would be the outer bearing closest to the snowblower. This bearing is, and the bolts are significantly shorter. So the part closest to your PTO or the underside of your tractor, that is the longer side. Yeah, and the bolts. Got to think about that for a minute. The bolts do. All the nuts are on the inside, so just if you remember that, you'll get them back together the right way. It bums me out that paint was not dry, so that kind of sucks. Hopefully I get that back in the right place. But to be honest with you, by not tightening everything down, that's going to kind of play havoc on that adjustment as well. Just have to be careful. There's definitely some slop in that, so you're not sure how crucial it is being in the right place. Thought we were missing a nut there for a minute. Hindsight, maybe a permanent marker, even though black on black is hard to see. That might have been better. I've only ever used these paint sticks. I bought them originally for marking my filters on the tractor, and the fuel filters, oil filters, tranny filter, putting a date on them, so I knew when I did my last 200-hour service, which if the tractor didn't come like that with it already on there, I probably never would have thought of that. I would have wrote it down on a piece of paper and later on be wondering where I put that piece of paper, but it's kind of nice having it right there on the filter. You can always look at it every time you get in the tractor, because I'm always checking oil every time. Uh-oh, I might have gone too tight. We'll see here in a minute. Okay, well, I think that's the deal. I'm going to stop there and going to get underneath the tractor, get this mounted up back on the tractor, and I'm going to put that drive shaft through there and see if we can't play around with that and get that located, get the bearings located right. So oh, no wonder. It's ass backwards. Okay, let's try to get the shaft through there now. Okay, so we're back to the workbench here. Not sure how much that I'll include of what I just tried to attempt to do. But anyway, so I was saying earlier is the other guy that I watched his video on said something about put them in there loosely, and I showed you all that. Put the drive shaft through there and let the drive shaft kind of tell you where the bearings need to be. Now, I don't see how a person could do it. I mean, I'm sure he did it, but I don't know exactly how what he uses as a guide, because once you put it all in there, you got the weight of the drive shaft, and it just automatically wants to kind of set these bearings kind of all cockeyed. And so he had that going on, and the other thing I seen that I was going to have difficulties with is actually getting them tight. I guess a person could second guess yourself 100 times here, I guess, but I guess a person could kind of locate them, I guess, possibly, and snug them down and take the whole thing back out and tighten them good on a good working surface like a workbench. But yeah, I just I feel comfortable with the whole thing, so I'm going to just, what I'm doing is kind of run my finger around here and just kind of making sure this looks like it's sitting in their uniform, which right now that one feels pretty good. And this front one, it's pretty close, but I don't like it in this one corner. So that's going to be how I'm going to do it. I'm going to put them in here, kind of feel them, kind of locate them where I think they should be located, and snug the bolts down and call that good. To be honest with you, another thing I've seen is, and then I also watched some videos where people complain about this, but the bracket itself, it's got a little bit of play. You know, everything is not 100% locked in tight. So your bracket is going to move a little as well. So you got that going on, you know, with trying to locate the bearings with the drive shaft in. So I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but please leave a comment if you do yours differently. I'd love to hear if I'm doing it wrong, but this to me seems more right, so I'm going to go with that. Okay, so anyways, enough talking. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. I am going to just kind of get them up tight against the bracket, and then check again, and then I'll do a final tightening. But okay, I'm gonna call that good. Okay, so we got the blower all hooked back up there. Hydraulic lines are hooked up. And just wanted to go over one last thought and end this video. So one thing that's not hooked up yet is this front drive shaft that goes from the from your blower to the end of your drive shaft that comes off your PTO. And so I like to read things, I like to watch videos, and one of the things that I seen on a guy's video is he talked about phasing your U-joints to make sure they're aligned, and from the hookup point basically on your PTO shaft coming off your mid PTO coming off your tractor. So that drive shaft, both the U-joints are aligned from the factory that way. So where it comes to play is when you hook up your front short little drive shaft, and now both ends of the drive shaft would be aligned. But you got to make sure that when you hook it up, I'll go back over here and try to show you. Yeah, you got that yoke there, so you got this part of the yoke right here, and then you got the other part. So basically you got to pick your battle. Pick one that look at one, and then when you look at this drive shaft up front, you want to be looking at the same setup. And I'm doing a horrible job trying to explain it, but and I can't hold the camera. But basically this flat surface right here is going to be the same surface as we're referencing back here. So that spline, one of the videos I watched, that spline coming out there on your drive shaft, I didn't count them, but the guy said in the video there's like 20 teeth on that shaft, so you got a 1 in 20 chances, 1 out of 20 chances to get it right. So you have them aligned right. And I guess what happens is when you put these in an angle like that, the back one coming off the PTO is spinning at a certain revolutions, and then anyways when you put them in a bind, like I said, look it up under phasing of U-joints on the internet. There's a bunch of stuff you can read up on it, and I'm sure they'll do a lot better job of explaining. But basically bottom line is if you don't keep them aligned, you get a vibration from your whole drive shaft going to your blower. And so I, to be honest, didn't know anything about that. When I hooked the blower up the first time, I just found the gear on that spline that allowed me to get the drive shaft on, and we went to blowing snow. And every time I've unhooked it and hooked it back up, I didn't know anything about it. So anyways, in the future, I'm going to pay attention to that and get them lined up. And so I'll show you my method of doing it. You can eyeball it, but to be honest with you, I don't know how accurate that would really be. So for woodworking, I got this little level box, and it's got a magnet in it, and it'll stick to metal. So basically turn that on, and wonder if I'll try to get it where it doesn't say air. Now, last time I did that, it just went away by putting it on the surface. So I'm going to put it on there, and oh, you probably can't read it. I can barely read it. Looks like 55 degrees or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shaft and make sure that it's got some slop in it, right? So I'm going to make sure that I got the slop all the way to one way. Take that number, now it's like 56. It's pretty finicky, so there you go, 55 again. So what I did the first time that I found this out, which is when I was just a couple days ago, is when I hook up this drive shaft up here, I'm going to reference the same part of the yoke, put this box on there, and I'm going to get it as close as possible. I never got it 100% right on to the degree. I don't know. I tried, even reversing it 180 degrees, so that same part of the yoke was facing upwards, and it was within probably, I don't know, 7, 8 degrees. So I think that's as close as you're going to get it. But anyways, kind of wanted to go over that with you and do what you want. I'm just here to spread some information that I found. I don't know if that's 100% the way you're supposed to do it, but it makes good sense. And if you watched any of the information on the internet about phasing U-joints and how they turn, and when they're put at an angle, how the revolution will speed up and slow down and speed up and slow down, it makes good sense that you're going to get a vibration from it. I never personally felt any vibrations in my tractor, but maybe the wearing out of the bearings that I just replaced and what this video is all about, maybe that had something to do with why they wore out. So anyways, I'm gonna hook that up and get them aligned to the right degree as close as possible. And we're getting some snow right now, so I'll probably do the next video I'll go over and tell you whether or not that the noise was any quieter that I was experiencing. It'd be great to be able to start the tractor up and turn the PTO on and show you the differences between start and finish of this project, but I don't have anybody here to help me with that, and can't turn the PTO on if somebody's not sitting in the seat. So that would have been helpful, but it's obviously not something I can do. So anyways, hopefully today's video didn't bore you to tears and it was somewhat informative to you if you need to do this project for your tractor. I'd like to say thank you for staying tuned if you've watched it to this far, and if you haven't yet subscribed and you enjoy the videos, I'd love to have you as a subscriber, and please give me a thumbs up if you like today's video. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.